Hey guys, I am Reek, or Butts, or Fabio, whatever you know me as. This is a video on Infantry Pulse when it comes to either raids defense. This is for either raids tier 21 and up. My rating is pretty bad for this season, but I only have one air, so my light season is a bit of a crutch. And either raids got nerfed pretty hard, which means that it's gonna be much easier going on forwards. So I feel that it's quite worth it to consider investing in a in somewhat of a decent either raids defense comp. And Infantry Pulse I have felt was easiest for me to build because it's a team that doesn't really require any defensive mythics, doesn't really require any legendaries, although I'm using two, they are not necessary at all. And I feel that it can be done with a lot of free-to-play units. Another cool thing is that all these units I have never really pulled for either of them. Lelina is at +10, Raven is at +10, Self is at +6, and I'm not planning on merging them forwards, but they're just units I had in my barracks. And I figured, well, I can get something going with them. And as you can see from the other video that I've uploaded, I've done quite fine for myself, I feel. My fortress is only level 4, and I've done so on purpose so far because by keeping my fortress a lower level, what's gonna happen is that I'm gonna lose a few matches, but I used to want that because, well, let's go back. So these are my defenses for the week. What's gonna happen is that if you lose a defense and your lift might not drop because you might have lift prevention active, you will be given the option to rematch your opponents. And why is that good? Well, at the start of the week, we all start at tier 21. As the week progresses, we get to higher levels, and the matchmaking algorithm will put us against stronger and stronger opponents. Is that good? We don't get more points for defeating stronger opponents, so the later we go into a week, it might be worth rematching some of the weaker opponents that we faced at the beginning of the week, since they might still be tier 21, they might still be weaker than us. So why not take the 3 points? Especially on Sunday and Monday. Sunday and Monday used to be my rematch days. Now that we've had these big sweeping changes to AR, we basically get to double up, so our ladders are worth twice as much, and we got one more ladder, which therefore equates to 2 more ladders. It's so much easier than it used to be. So I figured I might upgrade my defensive fortress. I will still give it a couple weeks. Always keep in mind that offense is the most important thing when it comes to either raids. So if you have the option to upgrade your offensive fortress or your defensive fortress, you always upgrade your offensive fortress. Bear in mind you can only lose up to 80 lift per day if you lose perfectly every day, and hopefully with this guy that's not gonna happen, but with each win you're gonna get at least 160 Ether, and you are gonna be doing more than one match every day. So yeah, offense first. This is just I don't want to say a min-maxing thing, but it's gonna be a completion thing. Focus on your offense first. Make sure that you have 2 airs. Make sure that you have 2 Nagas, and then work on your defense. So, I'm not gonna go over the various archetypes for either race defense. I'm just gonna tell you. Infantry Pulse is based against the Infantry Pulse skill. You can stack it, each copy of it makes it so that each unit with less HP, with fewer HP than the unit with Infantry Pulse, gets a free point of charge on their ultimate. So, I am currently running these 3 units with Infantry Pulse, which means that she has the most HP, he has the most HP. She doesn't have a special because I don't want her to fight, but he gets -2 to his gale force from her and him and his weapon. So his gale force, which would be a 5 cooldown special, is now a 2 cooldown special. And since he has heavy blade, he will attack once. His attack is 66. It's gonna be higher than his opponent, so he's gonna get an instant gale force, which is nice because that means he can reach further and do a lot of damage. Whereas for my non-gale force units, I have Lilina running Luna. It's a big nuke and it really deals with tanks. It's aimed at breaking tanks. And I am also running Luna on Ulm. We will get into it later on. Selef runs Vengeance. We will get into it later on as well. I usually start the weeks with Raven and then I substitute him for Soth, because I feel that Raven is a scrub buster unit. He absolutely destroys air, he absolutely destroys Naga. But against tanks, he might not be the best. And as we progress during the week, chances are we're gonna be facing really strong tanks. And who's good against really strong tanks? Well, the Cleaner is good. Not just Soth, but the Cleaner adds total bonuses on foes to damage them during combat. Therefore, if you're facing against an omni-buffed tank with +6 to all stats, he's gonna get +24 attack. Okay? They have +6 defense, which, yeah, it's gonna be +6 defense against him. But since they have +6 to every other stat, he's gonna get a lot of attack bonuses. So that's really good at breaking tanks. I have another setup, which is I'm currently using it for light season. This is aimed to, the only real change is in Lilina's set. This is aimed to break Brave Ike. Brave Ike is this newly buffed tank. He is really strong, especially in light season, because you pretty much don't kill him, because he reduces your damage, the damage from your attacks, by a lot. One thing that he does not reduce are AoE specials, since those are just attack against defense and attack against resistance in this case, and they are not affected by reductions from his in-combat buffs. They are not affected by any in-combat buffs. In fact, all AoE specials benefit from passive skills and visible buffs, such as from Legendary Azura. But let's go back. What makes an Infantry Pulse team? An Infantry Pulse team, we said, is based against the Infantry Pulse skill. Alright. Why is Infantry Pulse good? Well, it's because it allows us to hit really hard with really big specials on the first turn. And a lot of times, we will be hitting with more than one of our supercharged specials in the first turn. So it makes it really, really hard to tank everything we've got, especially if we're coming from a lot of different angles. I'm coming in with a red nuker, I'm coming in with a colorless nuker. This guy does not have a damaging special, but he has 66 attacks, so he does a lot of damage. And so there are various options. The thing that people really the thing that people really think about when they're thinking Infantry Pulse, they're thinking Nukers. They're thinking Ophelia, who I do not have, but even if I had her, I probably wouldn't run her because everybody and their moms runs her, and most people have a counter for her. Believe it or not, it's really easy to counter Ophelia. Just debuff her attack, or buff your resistance, or have really high resistance, or yeah, that's pretty much it. Out of combat resistance, and her ultimate is not going to be doing much damage to you. And even then, my Astra season, let's go to my Astra season. My Astra units, my Astra tank is this guy. I don't run that many visible buffs. I have, yeah, +6 res from this, but I also run +6, plus another 6, so +12, +15 res. He gets +15 res, so that means, yeah, Ophelia is gonna do some damage before combat, but then she's gonna hit for a nice round 0, so who cares? Another really strong nuke that I really like, but I do not have that many mergers on, and I do not have an attack copy of, is Sonia. I haven't built her, but she gets her refine, gives her a super quick impulse. She gets -2 to her cooldown at the beginning of the first turn, and she has a Wodao effect on her special, which means that she can run a Glacis, a special that makes use of her really high resistance stat to pile it onto her damage. Other options would be Deirdre, Julia, who I do not have, Legendary Julia, who I did not pull for, but she's also really good because she comes with Mirror Strike, which we'll talk about later. And yeah, those are units that aim to do a lot of damage on the first hit, and you might survive one of those units, but are you gonna survive 2? Are you gonna survive 3? And if you survive and you do a lot of damage but do not kill the nuker, well, chances are we are running a lot of copies of Wings of Mercy. I'm running 1, I'm running 2, I'm running 3, and I'm running 4, which means that in my case, you want to tank my Seliph will move, he will take damage, and everybody can pile on against him, around him, and all over the place. Dancers will add even more range because they will touch and dance the units that are around the Seliph or the Seliph. They will move even further, making it so that a lot of the map is covered by our effective range. This is something that a lot of people forget to consider, and a lot of people make a mistake when building their teams. What some people do is that they make walls. I have a wall here. I do not like it. It's not the best, and I seek to remove it with this setup, which I am switching to at times. Basically, a wall is bad because if they have a tank who can survive ranged attacks, it will bait all your defensive units, and they will suicide against them, and they will not utilize the rest of the map. This is my weakness in this part of the map. I could move this here or here, but there would be a lot of other problems coming up. So we'll get to the specific map design later. So we said that we like infantry units because they get to run Infantry Pulse. How many infantry units do we run on an Infantry Pulse team? I would say that the minimum number is 4, and you can get up to 6. I run 5, which is a happy medium. You're always gonna have your nukers. You really want to have at least 1 dancer. There is the option to run 1 or 2 bonus units, one or two bonus mythics, so a Sothis or a Duma or a Yoon. I don't really like the option. Sothis is fine because she is an infantry unit. Duma is okay because he gives plus attack, but they don't really fit with your general tone. Sothis is an infantry unit that sort of tanks, but she's not a super tank. Duma is a bad unit. He dies to everything, especially because in his season he's facing against Naga, so whatever he's facing against is dragon effective, and they will one-shot him. And Yoon is... Yoon does no damage, so I wouldn't use her. But if you want to run 2 copies of Sothis in your Infantry Pulse team, you're gonna be trading a few wins, but you're gonna be using fewer points. Maybe overall, maybe not. It comes out to the luck of the draw, because only the first defense of the day counts for lift loss. So your mileage may vary. It comes up to personal preference. If you have 2 Sothises, there's the initial investment of pulling for those 2 Sothises. But from then on, you have 2 fewer units that you have to think about when building your teams. So we spoke about, let's speak really quickly about tanks. There are really only 2 viable options, I feel, for tanks. And the main one, the one that has always existed, is this guy. It's Seliph. The other guy is the man of the hour. He got a really good refine this week. I haven't built mine yet, but it's Ike. It's Brave Ike. Brave Ike, basically, his refine says if you attack him, he doesn't die. You might say, yeah, I do damage to him. No, you're not gonna kill him. The problem with Brave Ike is if you bait him, he attacks you and then he dies. And I have a specific setup for Brave Ike in light season, which would be his best season. And basically, the AoE special on Lilina means that she will take away all his health before combat. He will go to 1 HP. And she gets to attack twice with +6 attack from initiation. So she'll kill him. There are no sets that survive this AoE Lilina set. You can screenshot it, you can pause the video, it's not that complicated. So, why is Seliph good? Seliph is a garbage unit that has an insane preference weapon. The refine is personal preference. The refines I chose is probably not the best one, but I am not spending another 200 divine dew on it. I don't feel like fixing it. His preference says if at the start of combat he has at least half his HP, he gets Miracle for free, in addition to his ultimate. Okay, so what I did was, what you are gonna do is you're gonna give him a multiple of 5, a multiple of 10 plus 1 is gonna be his HP. Why a multiple of 10? Well, my bull trap does 30 damage. He has 61 HP. This means that I can fully leverage the 30 damage of the trap. My opponent is gonna be hit for 30 if they trigger it. And well, he's gonna be at 1 HP over half his health. So this effect will be active, and not only that, there's Vengeance. He has 3 viable options for his special. You can use a shield, such as Bavis, which is what I used to be using. You can use Bonfire to make usage of his decent defense. Or you can use Vengeance. Vengeance does more damage depending on how much damage he has been dealt. Remember, he will survive with 1 HP and his ultimate active. So he will do 60 damage divided by 2. He will get 30 damage from his Vengeance if he's at almost death range. So his A skill and his seal slot will be sort of dedicated to buffing his HP. If you have a 25 bolt trap, you can get him to 51 HP. That's fine. You can get him to 56 HP. That is also fine. That will help him against, for example, Panic Manor. Another good option to boost his HP are Merges and Dragon Flowers. +1 Dragon Flower immediately gives him 1 HP, +2 Dragon Flower gives him 1 attack, which is good. You can have you can run an HP boon. I'm running an attack boon because I like to do some damage with him. At 6 Dragon Flowers, you will get a second HP point. Those are things to consider. His B skill can be Vantage. I am currently using Vantage because it can be fine. He can deal some damage with it. He can be really quite a nuisance if he runs it. Another thing that I used to use was Lunge. Lunge is something that you most commonly find on horses, but the trap is here, Self moves here, hits the guy, they switch, trap triggers. So that's an option to consider. Other Omega tanks can be used if you have a super invested infantry tank with a lot of HP. Yeah, that's fine, you can use them. But Selef's niche is really good. Again, we mentioned it before, Wings of Mercy. He gets low, he doesn't die, your allies can warp next to him, and they can attack. They can use their nukes, they can use their special, they can dance, so a lot of things can snowball from yourself getting to low HP numbers. Non-infantry units that you might use on Infantry Pulse. I am using an Azura, a legendary Azura. I feel that both her weapon and her preference dance are absolutely invaluable. What they do is 2 things. Ray Waves is a dance that makes your danced unit move 1 more unit. That's really good. That's great AI manipulations. People might not expect the range that you might reach. Let's get to this layer. Prayer Wheel, what it does is if the unit has a buff on them, that buff will be given to all their stats. I'm using an Earth Dance Seal. You can use any dance seal. Basically, if the unit doesn't have any buffs on them, this buff will be conferred before the player wheel effect triggers. So you will give the danced unit +5 to each stat that they have. I'm running this for her C skill. It's bad. If you have it, the best premium option that really gives her a ton of power will be Hone Speed 4 or Hone Attack 4, just because they give +7 to 1 stat that becomes all stats. If you don't have it, it's fine. I have spent hundreds of hours trying to get them. I haven't been able to. That's fine, whatever. With our dancers, we want their attack to be low, which is why I'm using a Fortress Death skill, because we do not want our dancers to attack. If possible, we want them to dance. In Azura's case, her weapon is just too good to unequip. In Ninian's case, the Refine boosts her HP. We will get to it later. What else? Oh yeah, really cool thing. The effects from Azura's buffs such as the extra movement and the extra stats, will be retained by the danced unit, even if they move, they do their attack, they do their thing, and another dancer dances them. They still retain the extra movement. So, sorry. One thing that's, oh, this is bad. One thing that's really important is to make sure that in your team order, your Azura is before the Ninian, because once all the other AI stuff is done, if your unit are gonna be having to choose who moves first, the unit that's first in the lineup will move first, will attempt to move first. So, in general, quick AI notes. If a unit can attack, they will be the first to move. Then, what's gonna happen, if a unit can attack and they can deal at least 5 damage, they will be the first to move and attack. If not, what's gonna happen is that the next priority will be rallies, which is why I'm running 2 rallies in this setup and 3 rallies in this setup. Rallies means that your unit does not get exposed, they stay in their place, they buff a unit next to them, and then they can get danced, which gives them a whole slew of buffs, as we saw. Next, what's going to happen is if your units have moved and they could be danced, and the dancers don't want to attack, they will dance in the order given by the team composition. Another really cool thing about why dancers are really good is that after your unit takes their turn, so let's say Raven moves, okay, Raven was debuffed, after its move, he will no longer be debuffed. So let's say Azura will dance him, he will get a whole slew of buffs and he won't have any of the debuffs that he had before. Aside from Ninian, which right now is a free-to-play unit, so you might want to put a little investment on her. As you can see, I only have Infantry Pulse, Wings of Mercy. I kept her default weapon. I gave her Chill Attack. Chill Attack is insane. We'll get to it later. Here's the thing. You want a dancer with high HP because you want the priority of Infantry Pulse. The other reason that you want a dancer with high HP is that a unit has been released to be a dick to Infantry Pulse. That unit is Bridal Fjorm. Bridal Fjorm weapon says, if Bridal Fjorm has at least 3 health more than units in cardinal directions, so in a vertical line and in a horizontal line from her, those units cannot dance and those units cannot be danced. So we want high HP. High HP is present on Ninian. High HP is present on also another weapon, on another unit that a friend of mine has. Let's see if we can find him. Sylvia. Sylvia is a fantastic unit. As you can see, his Sylvia has 66 HP. She gets +5 from Duma, but Sylvia is really easy to build. Sylvia is a free-to-play unit. She is in the 4-star pool. She is sort of new, so if you're a day 1 player, you might not have too many of them, but you still get a unit that is free-to-play, has lots of HP, she dances, she can use Wings of Mercy, she can use Infantry Pulse. Sylvia also has another niche, something really cool. First of all, Sylvia can use swords. Geishan is a sword with a built-in rally, which frees up a B slot or a seal slot. It's really good. Sylvia also has a ton of speed. A ton of speed means that you could run Gale Force on her. So you're gonna ask, why would I run Gale Force on a unit that doesn't have a lot of attack and has a lot of speed? She's gonna kill herself. She's gonna jump in, she's gonna try to attack, she's gonna kill herself. Well, What we saw previously is that the dancer will only attack if she can do at least 5 damage, alright? And if the dancer has a choice of targets, they will choose the target that doesn't kill them. Why is it good? Well, the cooldown on her ultimate, on her Gale Force, will be reduced, might be reduced by Infantry Pulse. You could run Flashing Blade on her. But what's really cool is, let's say she jumps in with Wind's Mercy, she hits a unit twice, she procs her Gale Force. Alright, she was here because she danced here, her Gale Force procs, she can move again. She has even more range. And after she moves again, she can dance. So she effectively gets a return. And she only does that if she doesn't die. So that's really good. That's really something to consider. I really like Sylvia. At the moment I have a plus speed Sylvia, and I have 8 more Sylvias ready to be built, ready to be merged. I'm waiting for a plus HP one. This guy has a really good example of an Infantry Pulse team. He is using a Deirdre. Deirdre, we mentioned her as an option. Deirdre has Dull Dragon, which is cool. Disables the adaptive damage. That is alright, that's fine. She gets Spectrum buffs. Okay, that's pretty cool. She has high res, which means that she can run Iceberg. So that is a viable option. Unfortunately, Deirdre is not a free-to-play unit, but if you find yourself facing dragon tanks and you have a few Deirdres, try her out. Green is a very, very, very good color. This guy is also running Roderick. Roderick is a non-infantry unit that he is running in an Infantry Pulse team. Why is he running it? Well, Roderick was used even before he got his refine, and he was used because of something called a lunge trap. What's a lunge trap? Well, lunge, it says after combat, unit and target full swap spaces after combat. It doesn't tell you that if Roderick dies, the effect doesn't take place. However, he has a fire sweep weapon. So, unless you're attacking an infantry tank with Null Sea Disrupt, you will survive, you won't take damage, and this will trigger. This will trigger, well, where would it trigger? As you can see from his only move path, he is going down here, he is attacking the tank that is over here, and he will swap him over to the bolt trap, making them take a lot of damage and putting them into range of the Deirdre. Okay, so yeah, that's a really good option to consider. There used to be a time where it was where people would run, for example, 2 of these to make it really difficult to discern which was the trap, which was the position where you were going to trigger the trap. It's up to personal preference, really. Another option that I really like with Ophelia, alongside with Ophelia, is Brave Veronica. Brave Veronica has something really interesting. So, we mentioned before with Lilian that with AoE specials, you really want to have an advantage in visible attack against their visible res. What Veronica's special weapon does is that it will debuff the stats of your opponent and buff the stats of allies around her. So, if you can position your defense right, your Veronica will hit the tank, it will debuff the tank, it will buff the Ophelia will go in, and she will have at least an 8 stat differential just from the Veronica attack, which is pretty cool. You have to sort of work your team around that. And the funny thing is, some people will see a staff user, they will go, oh, I'll use my Null Sea Disrupt weapon and I will kill them. Cool, they've killed your healer. Alright, Now the spot that the healer was occupying is free for the nuker to attack the tank. So the tank who's been debuffed. So yeah, you can make traps out of that. It's something that you can consider. So don't feel yourself obligated to run 5, 4, 6 infantry units. Find what works best with what you have in your barracks. Don't really spend too much money on your defense. You can build suitable defenses without really much spending. So what should we see next? Let's talk about buildings. 3 buildings that I feel are the most important things, and I will always keep them, and I will rotate the other building, are the healing tower. You want your units to be somewhat healthy to avoid getting swept by Vantage units, by Vantage Savage Blow units. And also the shrines are really peculiar. So what makes the shrines really good? Well, the shrines debuff the offensive and the defensive stats of the unit with the highest offensive and defensive total. Cool, that's nice. I'm already running chill res, I'm already running chill attack. Why would I double down? Well, for 2 reasons. First of all, chill res only hits the guy with the most res. Dark Shrine hits the guy with the most res plus def. So Dark Shrine and chill res might hit different units. You might get debuffs on 2 units instead of 1. Same thing for Bright Shrine and chill attack or chill speed. Another thing that's really good about the shrines is that, look at this. This has radius. This has radius. All of these have radiuses. These do not. You can put them in a corner, you can put them in a safe spot where the opponent won't be able to reach them, and you will pretty much guarantee that your opponent will be under their effect, no matter what. Which is something that I'm really using, really making usage of in this setup. I'm really hiding my shrines. For Legendary Azura, there is a weakness that this setups really seeks to nullify. Legendary Azura is a ranged unit, which means that she might go out of the way to attack the tank and suicide, because she has higher effective range compared to, for example, Linian. So what do? I hit her in a corner in this case. Some people remove the weapon, but I've already spoken about it. Keep the weapon, it's really good. I'm sorry if you're hearing noises, the cat is throwing stuff at the table. What's next? I have also uploaded a video with my defenses for this week, for the light week. You can see that I've switched setup over the course of the week, and it's something that you might consider. I always start the week with Raven because he is really a scrub buster. He's a noob buster unit. He owns air, he owns Naga, he just one-shots them and procs Gale Force. The problem is he's not that good against tanks. On the other hand, Soth is, as I said, the perfect unit against tanks. There's another thing. If I see, for example, that I know that this area is a weak spot, this is a wall, you can get here with a flying unit, with a flying reposition, with a smite, and tank my ranged units. I don't really like that. And yeah, it's kind of, if you can tank the first unit, if you can tank the first 2 units, you've killed 2 of my important nukers, and I'm not that happy about it. And also what's going to happen is that if my units have to go all the way around, they're going to take a lot of time, and they're going to be vulnerable to offensive fire. What else should I consider? I'm going to show you a friend of mine, a Japanese friend of mine, who has pretty much the strongest Infantry Pulse defense that I have on my friend's team. I'm playing with my Astra team. I'm gonna spare you the math. Hector gets to 72 def and 72 res, okay, in combat. He gets +6, +6, +6, +3 res. So that is a whole shit ton of res. I'm gonna show you why that is not enough. And it's insane to say, but that won't be enough. This guy, for his tank, he just uses a Fallen Core, and that is his Astra tank. He is just using it because it's a giant ball of stats. It's a Gen 3 trainee. She's got stats coming out of the buckle. And yeah, that's a frontline unit. Don't stress it too much. The insane thing is how invested his Lilina and his Micaiah are. They are both at +10. Let's see the Dragonfly. Only +2 and +5. Okay, he could go harder on Dragonflyers, but that's fine. He has Swift Sparrow 3 on his own, which double dips on his Lunar Flash, because Lunar Flash gets bonuses from both the attack and the speed of all. Interestingly enough, since we said that we leverage Wings of Mercy, Attack Rest Bond and Attack Death Bond are really quite powerful, because you fully get their benefit. On Reddit you will often see people talking trash about bond skills, and yeah, understandable. Here's the thing, on AR defense with Wings of Mercy, you're fully gonna get their benefit when it comes to attack, and their secondary benefit, their defensive benefit. On my Lilina, I choose to run, instead of attack defense bond, I choose to run attack speed bond, because sometimes she actually manages to double, even if she's a 30 base speed unit. So let me buff my Hector. He's got everything. He's as tanky as he gets. Alright. You couldn't. He's alright. He's only at +4, but trust me, he is really tanky. Let's see what happens. Yeah, 59. He kills her, but then comes on. She moves, he gets danced, he nukes. She gets danced, and yeah, I've already lost 2 units. I can't remember which trap this is. You can see that this resembles my team, my comp, my setup, because I have shamelessly copied it from him, because it's really good. But as you can see, what can I really do? Like, he's killed my carries. All I have are bonus units and supports. Yeah, that gets sniped, that gets sniped, that gets danced, that gets sniped. I have nothing I can do. So, as we said, there is a weak spot over here. You could consider this a weak spot because funnily enough, is their weakest nuker, and since he's here, you could snipe them with a bolt tower activation plus a really strong Vantage tank, but even then it's gonna be quite hard, especially because if you hit if you kill with your Vantage tank, Lina is not gonna be hit by Savage Blow, and that's gonna be a problem because she's gonna be jumping in at full HP and she's gonna be bringing in over to her. He chooses to use Draconic Aura because he feels that he can leverage the plus attack more than I do Luna. You should calc it. You should grab a calculator, punch in some of the most common tanks that you know you're gonna face, and see what works best for you. My Lilina does not have Death Blow 4. I have the fodder for it. I haven't felt it's necessary so far. What else? I have Death Blow. Okay, I have Wings of Mercy 3 on her. I have Wings of Mercy 1 on her, and Wings of Mercy 1 on him. That's because Kane was kind of hard to find for me. You do you. Usually, Seliph is gonna be at 1 HP, so Wings of Mercy 1 is fine most of the times. For Olm, I actually haven't built mine, funnily enough, even though it might seem like it. He's at +3. I got 4 of them while trying to get 1 air. 600 orbs in, no air. Nice. I found out that Luna cults better, and I should replace Darting Blow with. Some people run double Darting Blow. I feel that Hardy Bearing. I feel that with my team, he's the best Hardy Bearing user. Hardy Bearing is really strong because it's pretty much your only defense if you're not running. If you're not running a Hardy Bearing dagger, it's gonna be your only defense against Vantage sweepers. And this guy is really protected. It's almost impossible to get to him because I want to make sure that I do not fall over to a Hardy Bearing setup. For example, look at this team. What can they do to hit him? They would have to go here, they would have to go here, kill this, go here, and stare a Raven in the face. Nobody wants to do that. Or what they could do is they're not gonna kill the Seliph and take his place. That's not gonna happen. They could go here, hit him, and what's gonna happen next? Yeah, they've killed him. Nice, well done. He rallies, she dances him, he punches them in the face really hard. He hits them as well. If they haven't died already, she comes over and she absolutely destroys them. So that's what I've prepared against Vantage users. Here as well, he's very protected. One thing that people can do to stop the Infantry Pulse chain is that on turn 1 they're gonna hit one of your Infantry Pulse users to lower their HP so that they will be lower HP than the units that they're trying to buff, so those units won't get buffed. Here Ninian is really hard to hit. Here, Seliph is really hard to hit, and even if you hit Seliph, you put yourself in a world of hurt. Here you cannot hit Ninian, here you cannot hit Ninian. So that is something that you want to consider. What else? I think that pretty much covers it. At least that covers why I make the decisions that I have made. One thing again that I want to reiterate, don't feel bad for having a few similar setups and switching between them during the week. If you feel that there is a glaring weakness that has cost you a few matches in a row, fix it and use it. Keep it as an alternate setup, switch to it, see how the alternate setup works. If you see yourself having to change your setup after every match because something doesn't work every time, then yeah, there are some probably more radical changes that you might worry about, but in that case you will realize that. So don't feel scared to adapt. It's Either Raids is really a fun mode that really lets us do a lot of different things. So I think that's it for me. I think that's all I wanted to say. I will leave my friend code is in the video. You can see it. It's over here. You can add me even if you want to test my defense, get some rounds of practice in, see how your offense team works. That's fine. And if you have any questions with your Either Raids Infantry Pulse defense, feel free to shoot them and I can try to help you. Yeah, I think this is it. Thanks you guys for watching. If you have any questions, just let me know. I might do more Either Raids video in the future. Alright, bye bye.